Alright everyone, it's time for the Occult, video 219. There is always hope, do not back down. So often when we're like fighting something, something's made us upset or whatever, we just sort of like crumble and say, well, fuck it, basically, and wander off and find something else to do. That's not the way to go about things. I'll use myself, as I often do, as an anecdote. All throughout school, like when I was a kid and stuff, I was basically the problem kid. I was the one that tormented the teachers and didn't really have friends and stuff until high school. Then things were more or less normal. It's very funny, as soon as I got there and people didn't treat me differently, all of a sudden the behavioral problems were gone. I get held back in the 5th grade for behavioral problems. Something I don't think I've actually mentioned before. Grades were fine. I got straight A's, but, you know, didn't play well with others, so they decided to hold me back. I think that was a little bit unfair, because, like, come on, I was a kid at the time. Who cares, though? It's like, you know, the people that I was with in the prior 5th grade were morons anyway, so fuck them. Basically, I was like that. I was the Hellion. And so a lot of times there was a great deal of pressure on me. It's like, you know, just conform, just behave a certain way. You know, if you want positive results, you have to be a certain someone. You have to dress a certain way, talk a certain way, have certain beliefs, have certain behaviors. And I'm like, why would I want to? So you're looking around and a lot of people are like, they're boring and shit like that. They weren't really that inspiring. They're not going to lead inspiring lives. They're going to go off and they're going to be workadazes. Again, I don't say that in an insulting way, but I just can't do that. I was unable to, and so, you know, I was acting out because I didn't want to. People will try to grind you down even if you're great, though. Like you've seen it. Like, people that have, like, they're wealthy. They have, like, successful careers. They're personable. They're not, like, a piece of shit. They're not, like, egotistical or a wife beater or a drug addict or anything. I don't care if you are addicted. Again, I have to be non-judgmental because I just don't give a fuck. Unless you're judgmental, then you too shall be judged. You go there. They'd be millionaire, and they're, you know, beautiful and stunning, and the red carpet and everything, and then they get completely wasted. They get completely torn down by other people. There will be people that out of jealousy will attack them, or just people that don't like them for who they are. Something about them rubs them the wrong way, and so they try to do that. But struggle can be greater than that. Sometimes it's an emotional struggle. Sometimes it's a physical struggle, like, let's say, poverty, or addiction, something like that. Why would you want to give up? Like, if it's making you feel bad enough to at least try to alleviate it, continue trying. Like, don't get despondent and all ground down. That's not the proper thing to do. You're probably more powerful than you think. You're probably smarter than you give yourself credit for. Most people lack self-confidence. That is, that they're smarter than they think they are. They're prettier than they think they are, and so forth. They can be more successful than they give themselves credit for. And then you get, like, maybe that 5% that are like egomaniacs and stuff. And you know, sometimes you can't help it. It's like, again, non-judgmental. Some people just act that way. Most people lack self-confidence, and for those of us who aren't naturally, like, high-level narcissists or something, you have to get to the point where you're comfortable in your own skin. Like, you know, there's a reason that I often go shirtless in my videos. I'll dye my hair, fucking have weird facial hair or whatever, and not give a shit what people think about it. It's a training exercise over time, too. I don't want people to give a shit. I don't want them to be shallow. I think it's very sad when they are. When they're not listening to what's being said, there are people out there that'll tune into a political video and only fixate on the fact that I'm wearing a pentagram. They're not hearing what I'm saying at all. Why are they even subscribed to the channel? I'm not 100% sure sometimes why. Clear your mind and resist that sort of bullshit. Like early on, more anecdotes. Early on YouTube, I was more what you would consider normal, maybe. Cared more about, you know, when people criticized me. Like, I would make content early on that was mainly, like, anti-religious. I'm not really anti-religious anymore, although I'm irreligious. I'm questioning, I'm skeptical of organized religion. I'm not a big fan of churches and mosques and shit. I think that they tend to be spawning places of ignorance. As far as the spirituality, whatever, let people have their fucking gods or whatever they have. Early on, that's what I was talking about, and it was, at the time, it was more popular. Like, there was no, like, atheist cringe neckbeard sort of meme going around, which itself is an attempt to reduce self-confidence, by the way, by people. Especially the fedora meme, that's a key one. What's happened is that over time, though, as my material morphed, as I just kept talking and talking because I had something to say, I slowly lost interest in caring about others' criticism unless it was like a fair... Like if you're saying, well, you know, your audio sucks, or you should change the background, or, hey, here's some way you can improve the channel or something, that's fine. You know, someone maybe they like the content, but they're trying to opine as a way they could like it more. That's great. Like, oh, do more videos of this kind. Maybe stop doing this kind of video. Well, I may not end up doing that. I may disagree, and if you try to jump down my throat and act like self-righteous and say that you have some sort of a right to tell me what to put on my channel, I'm gonna call you out. But if it's just like, hey, here's a suggestion, that's good. But more often than not, it's negative suggestions. It's more like the "you are an asshole and suck" sort of commentary that you get. Trust me, you don't want to be a public figure of any kind. You don't want to have any audience at all unless you can toughen up and get some thicker skin. It never goes away, sort of, receptiveness towards negativity, but it can be shielded against. You can, remind yourself habitually, hey, most of this criticism is bullshit anyway. Just like if I were to go out and shitpost all day and say weird shit to other people, most of it would just be tongue-in-cheek. It would be an attempted antagonism. It doesn't have any real objective basis in reality, so why get upset over it? That's why I criticize social justice warriors. Dude, you need to toughen up. These people need to learn how to mature if they're going to live in this world. They're not always going to be able to rely on daddy's dental trust fund, so to speak. They're going to have to put on their big boy pants and stop sucking the fucking Soylent Green down at some point, and they're going to have to, be a man, be a woman, or something like that. I know it's considered offensive to even fucking say that now again. Fucking grow up. That's what I would say. There's life advice to all you whippersnappers. Grow the fuck up. Stop worrying about other people's criticism so much, and stop worrying what other people are doing. Leave people alone. Do your own thing, like be productive and shit. Like, you can have that success. All you have to do is try. But do not begin any work from the perspective that you will fail. Never do that. Always assume victory. You plan for failure. Expect the possibility. Make contingencies. Realize you don't want to make yourself feel even worse than you have to. But try. Assume that you can win. Assume that you can perform some act. Assume that you can dress the way that you want. And if people have a problem with that, tell them to fuck off. It's the best thing ever. That's about all. Peace out.